It's Friday as usual. We're live as usual. We're your hosts as usual. And the rest of the show won't be usual because I'm Snowball. That's
Johnny boy, what's going on?
And this is Jets.
Worldwide, wide.
Yes, it is.
Yo, we rolling deep with the Jets on the rise. A team full of dreams under these bright skies. The world is our stage, we ain't gonna hide. Green and white till we die. Jets worldwide, wide. Johnny boy and Snowball in the zone. Yeah, we're family here, never alone. Jets worldwide, this is where we shine. A true dedication, victory's our sign. Green and white forever, we in our prime. You know we gon' ride, just give it some time. 2025, hear the crowd going wild. You know we spitting truth, nothing but style. A city that never sleeps, we going buck wild. Our hearts beat as we Jets worldwide, wide. Victory's a feeling, we won't let go.
You know, there are some mornings I wake up and that's in my head.
That's the part that's in my head every single time. Victory is something we won't let go.
Well, we've let go of it for a little while, but hopefully it comes back.
I believe. They made me believe again.
All right. But they always make me believe.
100%.
And if you're a true fan, you're a sucker and you get sucked in every year and your dreams get destroyed as usual. Hopefully not this year, but as per usual, that's been happening. The name of this episode is called An Evening with Gator McKlusky. So if you can't read, that's what it says. If I don't want to waste any time, I want to bring him in because he is our guest. Do you have anything to can you give him an intro?
Oh yeah.
Beyond all intros.
I got you. Let me
can we get music going here?
Yeah, let's put some music for him.
He deserves. Now Gator's very intense, so I got intense music for him. So get ready, hold your ears. All right, here we go.
From the depth of hell, he is your favorite content creators out there. Not many people have had an evening with him, but he is ready to rock and roll. Standing at 9 foot, he is the tallest guy we've had on this show. Let me introduce you to Gator.
Welcome, Gator McKlusky. Welcome to our show. Welcome to Jets Worldwide.
Johnny boy, Snowball, thank you for having me.
Oh, we are very honored to have you on our show. We appreciate you coming on.
Be.
All right, we're not honored, but we are very appreciative that you're here. So I figured Johnny and I spoke several weeks ago. We were like, you know what, we should do a lineup. We should get some guests to come in. And Johnny came up with the beautiful suggestion to have you come in for the show.
Nice.
Everyone knows you as the graphics master for several Jets content creators. You want to rattle off a little bit of a list for us? Like who do you create content for?
Well, believe it or not, it didn't start with Jake in terms of Jets. If we're just talking, how did I get involved in doing this Jet stuff? There was a first of all, there was a Yankees show that I had watched, that I watched regularly, that I just hated his show open. So I decided to do one because I watched them all the time. And I thought, hey, if I'm going to watch them all the time, it'd be cool if I made him an open. And then every time I watch him, I could see my open, and that would be fun. So I started with him. Unhinged Yankees, I believe is the name of it. And then there was a guy who actually I've been trying to get Jake to have on as a guest because he's really good. His name is DKBX Jets.
Oh yeah, I know him very well.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Awesome guy.
Yeah. So I did his open before I even knew who Jake was. And again, just first Jet show I tuned into was him. It wasn't Green Bean or any of these other shows, which is funny. It was somebody who was a little bit more off the beaten path. And he had no effects, no anything. So I tuned into him. I really liked him, sent him the open. He loved it, used it. And then yeah, so then I caught Jake and I was on my way to Publix, which is our food store here in Florida. And I was listening to it with my earbuds and it was right around the time where Aaron Rodgers was a rumor in terms of, are the Jets going to sign him? And every Asmaniac, weren't Asmaniacs, I guess, at the time that were calling in, were all sort of like stressing out, like beyond belief over, are they going to sign him? Or, who are we going to get if we don't sign him? Everybody's stressed out. And I'm listening to this in my ear and I'm like, oh, you know what? I should call into that show and just be so stressed out that I pass out. And that was my first call into Jake. I got home from Publix and I never did the StreamYard thing before. So I figured it out. And all I did was stand up here in the room that I'm in now and act all stressed out. And then I dropped to the ground and I got up and then I passed out again. And Jake thought it was funny. And then a couple of people mentioned it as they called in. They're like, oh, I hope that guy Gator's all right. And then of course, I had to follow up. So a day or two later, I decided to do something else. And I was going to drown myself in my hot tub in order to prevent myself from passing out. So I called in again and did that. I set my phone up and I told Jake that I figured out a way to not pass out and that I was going to try to drown myself. And so he kept coming back to me. It was kind of like he does with Beastbreaker and some of the other guys that have always been on hold for a long time. He kept coming back to me as I was drowning myself. And then that went away. I did it again the next day because Rogers signed. I knew he signed, of course. And then I was drowning myself and he cuts to me and he's like, Gator, we signed him. He's a Jet. And then I passed out again. And that kind of started it. And then of course, I got the bug. I got the endorphins sort of kicked in. It's like, I need more of this because it was fun. And of course, I love the Jets. So, I kind of kept taking it a little bit further till I started to figure out how I could call in and trick him. That was my biggest, thing I enjoyed the most was I honestly didn't even care if I made any of you guys laugh. It was literally, can I make Jake laugh and can I fool him?
So can I
And
ask you a
so-
question? Can I ask you a
Yes.
question? So there's no relationship between you and Jake at this point.
None.
You're
Absolutely none.
merely a caller.
Merely a caller.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know how many calls I did or how much of like a period of time passed before again I looked at Jake's open because I would watch his show every day and I'd say I think I could do something a little bit. And I don't want to insult the guy that did the previous intro because that intro was very good. It's just that I thought it needed an update because it was the same, for a while. And so I really dug in and made him a kick-ass open. And that's when our relationship kind of started in terms of like, hey, you did that. You think you could do this? You think you could do that? And I just, I got close to Jake in terms of, being his friend. And then, he invited me out to LA and we did the Vegas game. We did a draft out in LA. We did 2 trips out to LA and the Halloween trip to New York. And I'm always, even today I did 2 advertisements for him for the 2 games that he's doing the meetups at. So
And you'll be at the you'll be at the Tampa one, right?
yeah, man, it's
Yeah,
literally 15 minutes from my house. So
That's awesome. Very cool.
it's going to be a shit day for a number of reasons. Not only the heat, of course, at 1 o'clock in Tampa, but right across the street from the stadium. I don't know if you know this, but it's Steinbrenner Field where the Yankees AAA team normally plays, but the Rays have rented it out for the year because their stadium was destroyed in the hurricane. So the same exact time as what is Tampa's opening day, right? Tampa Bucks opening day against the Jets, for them opening day, is the final game of the year for the Tampa Rays at the same exact time across the street. And they share the same parking lot, which is
Ooh.
insane. So everybody that
Yeah.
comes, I think the tailgate folks will be all right, but like, it's gonna be a nightmare. I mean, in terms of like, and you're gonna have Red Sox fans all over there, and you're gonna have, because there's a
Oh,
ton of Red Sox fans here,
It's gonna be
and
hell.
Rays fans, because even if the Rays don't make the playoffs, which I doubt they will, it's the last game of the year, and so the fans are gonna go. It's not like one of these games they're just gonna skip out on. So, yeah.
so
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Johnny.
no, do your thing, do your thing.
So I was gonna say the Yankees intro, right? That Yankee show intro.
Yeah.
And then you had who is it? DBX,
DK,
DBX, DKBX
right?
Jets.
DKBX,
It's a tough
Jake,
name, yeah.
Jake,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then any others?
Oh yeah. Well, then I got Boy Green's open. I did the open for the Jets 24/7. I did their open. I mean, you name it. I did one for Jets Chaos, when he had a short-lived channel. There's a lot of short-lived channels that I did. I did one for Nick Faria had a channel. I did one for him. Like a lot of the ones that I did
Right.
are
Connor,
not really shows anymore. I did Connor's show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Hard pressed to find. I did Richie's Jets Media show, his
Right.
open.
So-
I mean, it just snowballed. Like everybody would just, come,
Right.
which is flattering, because I've become like the Jets guy, the Jets graphics intro guy, or whatever you want to say,
Right.
Yeah, you've
Nobody-
done stuff for
no-
you've done stuff for Shine too, right? I've seen it like with all
Yeah, I
the
did
different
Shine's,
ones and
yeah.
all that. So it's
I did
awesome.
Right.
Shine's open. Yeah.
And you did our match game video. So
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I love it. Like I literally don't consider it work. It's like, I tell my wife, because I turn down paid jobs sometimes that I could probably make a little bit more money. And because the Jets guys don't, a lot of them I just do because I just love you guys, and I just do like the snowball one, and
right.
it's just I watch these shows, so when I see like, oh, you know what, it's not going to take me much to make this a little better. Boy Green's a perfect example. Like I listen to Boy Green every morning, and he's got like a monopoly on that time slot, which is fantastic because that's when I walk my dog. So every morning at 7:30 I walk my dog, and so for that like half hour, 45 minutes, I listen to Boy Green, and that's why I don't really call into Jake's show with Jets points, and I don't call into any of these shows with Jets points. But when I'm out there walking my dog and I'm listening to the madness of, this fan or that fan or this idea or that idea, I get riled up and I'm like, God damn it. And when I'm walking, I'm like, I'm trying to get on StreamYard while my dog's taking a shit, and it's one time he took one during my call. And of course I had to show it because I'm a moron, but that's what I do. But when I
would like
first
to know what
started
kind of dog.
a golden retriever.
Okay.
Golden
Nice.
dog. My second one. They are the greatest dogs on the planet. All dogs are a blessing for anybody that has one, but
100% agree with you on that.
yeah.
So Gator, so let me ask you this, right? So let's get into it, right? Like, so you just talked about the BG in the morning and all. I'm someone that also watches it as well because I'm up at that time with the 1,000 kids I have, right? My offspring is insane. And I've heard you have the conversations with him, and the points that you bring, they're really good, right? Like, and I don't think a lot of the viewers know that and have not seen that side of you. So when myself and Snowball talked about it, I was like, Snowball, dude, I would love to go ahead and bring Gator on here and be able to, let everybody understand it and see what I'm talking about, and just know you, the guy, right? Not just Gator, the guy that does the Jet stuff, So I want Gator, the Jets fan.
Just not the Gator that Rick Kent hates.
No, not that one.
But
But this one,
but so let me
He's
ask you this
inside.
then.
He's
it's
outside.
outside.
So
Sorry.
how did you become a Jets fan? How did it happen? What made you say, you know what? I have no choice. Like, I'm becoming a Jets fan.
I'll try to keep it short because I do enjoy telling this story. But when I was in the sixth grade, um, I joined a flag football league because all my friends did, and I wasn't really a huge football fan. But when all your friends are doing it, and you want to fit in, and at that age, you just do it. So I signed up, and my mother was driving me there, and on the way there, I said to her, "Oh my God, Ma, I supposed to have a helmet. I need a helmet for practice. I don't have a helmet." She's like, "I got you a helmet." So she reaches over from the front to the back and hands me a Jets helmet. And I was like, "Okay, whatever this thing is, I'll wear this, I guess." She was a big Joe Namath fan and loved the Jets from those days. I get to practice, and now I'm going to estimate it around 1978. Okay, I'm not a young man. I show up at practice, and all of my friends in the entire field, all you see is a sea of silver and black. So, what helmets were all the kids wearing?
Dunce hats.
What helmets were all the kids
Silver
wearing?
and black. The Raiders.
No,
Silver and black.
1978.
Mm,
1978.
the Cowboys.
Cowboys is one. Oh, and what are the other half of the kids wearing?
Oh, Steelers.
Steelers.
Yeah.
Everyone had either because those were the two teams for the late 70s. It was always the
Mhm.
Steelers in Dallas in some way, shape, or form. And so I show up with this Jets. I turn to my mother. I say, "Ma, what is this thing? I'm going to look like an idiot. Why did you get me this?" She's like, "The Jets are great. They won a Super Bowl." And I'm like, whatever. I put it on. So everybody called me the Jets kid. That was my name because, of course, I didn't have, anything like anybody else. So when they yelled, they were like, "Jets, Jets." That was my name. Um, Thankfully, I made a few plays. Particularly, I had a knack for intercepting the ball. So
Nice.
I, I, if I was shit, then I'm sure they would have made fun of the Jets. But it turned out pretty good for me in terms of playing football. So that's how I became a Jets fan. And then obviously, when I started watching the Super Bowls, I also kind of was like really into Pittsburgh for a while. Pittsburgh, Dallas was Pittsburgh Rams.
Mhm.
Just excited. It's funny. You listen to that Patriots fan that calls in. The six rings guy. He's of an age that I get it. Even if you're not from New England, if when you first become a football fan, if you first become a baseball fan and Derek Jeter is the player that's making all the plays, then maybe you become a Yankees fan. So I became a Steelers fan, but loved the Jets, and then became obsessed with the Jets, and then met some friends who had family who had season tickets, and they always had an extra season ticket, so I was always going to games. And man, I saw a lot of losses.
I think we
Uh,
I
A
think we lived
lot of
mirror
losses.
lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think we really
Yeah.
did. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
I think my first Jets game I went with a Steelers poncho because it was raining,
Ah.
and as a small child I got booed. It was really weird. It
Oh.
was very nice. Anyway, what were you gonna say, Johnny Boy?
So, all right. So that's how it occurs, right? So you're rocking his helmet. Everybody's in awe. Like, look at this dude, right? Like, he's so different, right? So it's the Jets, and you're like, Jets, 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 Jets. Probably going down the hallway, chanting it, and everybody's like, let's just throw something at him. At least that's what happened to me, right? So forward to now, okay? And there's a lot of things that's going on with the Jets organization itself. Things have changed again, right? We just had the draft. So I wanted to ask you, what was your thoughts on the draft? Like, Now, myself, I'm not somebody that tends to like do a full deep dive. Like, shout out to Dylan, right? That it's able to go ahead and break it all down, right? But I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan, so I see a lot of those players that are in that all the time. But we got a whole bunch of people. So I wanted to get your thoughts. What did you think of it? Like, did you like some of the picks that we got? Are you intrigued for some of them? Like, what's your thoughts in regards to all this?
I mean, I guess the one that I'm most intrigued about is Arian Smith. Um,
Go
you know,
Dogs.
I really like what I've seen from him so far. Malachi Moore, just seemed, when you watch the draft, and it's funny because so many of the Jets picks, and you watch the Jets channels, and especially I got a kick out of watching Jets 24/7 with Green Bean and Ryan and Matt. And like so many times the Jets would pick a player and they'd look at each other like, who? Like, and so I don't feel so bad when I don't know who these guys are. But, I mean, as the draft approaches, some of us do minimal research in terms of the first pick, right? Always to say, okay, because we talk about that damn first pick, what, for 3 months, it seems, 4 months.
Yeah.
That's all we talk about from whatever, when we get eliminated in week
October.
2. Yeah, and we get eliminated in October. We're talking about, who we're going to pick with our first pick. I got nauseous with all of the talk from January right up until the draft about that one damn pick and what we were going to do with it. And and it's like right now, it's like, what are we talking about? People are calling into these shows, and the big discussion is, how many wins are the Jets going to have? Oh, I think they're going to have 7. Oh, I think they're going to have 11. Who really gives a shit? Nobody knows, and it's going to change 500 times between now and week 2
Right.
because we have no idea who this team is. We have no idea what any of these players up here on the screen are going to do. And the fact of the matter is that there's a reason why other teams didn't choose them. And hopefully there's a reason why we got lucky and ended up with them. So, look, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. I think to me, it's all about these two men that we hired, Muji and Aaron Glenn. And really, do they know what they're doing? And I have such low faith in this team. The last 2 years have been the worst 2 years in my Jets life. And I have watched this team for, as you already know, quite a few decades. This last 2 years took so much out of me emotionally that I've lost a lot of care. I'm sort of dead inside. So to me, no matter what they do in September, October, it's not going to hurt me. It's just I'm already so deeply damaged by the last 2 years. That's being perfectly honest.
So you're, I mean, I personally was not familiar. I didn't know who Darren Muji was when they started to talk about him. Did you?
No,
No, right? So I didn't know,
no.
but obviously we knew Aaron Glenn. So thoughts on the hiring of Aaron Glenn? Did you want Aaron Glenn? Did you want another head coach? What were your thoughts?
I wanted a head coach with head coaching experience.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn was probably third or fourth on my list. Um, he's growing on me, but I'm again, I'm so dead inside. I'm so hurt from the last 2 years and what this organization did to us. Um, Particularly the firing of Saleh and the abomination of where the season went at that point. Um, I just thought Saleh should have been let go the year before. It would have been a different season. And I think if Saleh wasn't let go, I think the defense would have done better over the course of the year, and we could have won a few more games. Not to say we would have made the playoffs, but I think it would have been a different season. So I really think the firing of Saleh and putting Ulbrich in there, who was a complete clown. I mean, Ulbrich was really like, if you try to rank the worst Jet coaches of all time, and I'm going back to Rich Kotite,
Mhm.
to me he is number one. I have never in my life been less confident in a coach than watching Ulbrich every week. It was painful. It was brutal. So like I said, Aaron Glenn is going to be good. I believe I'm hopeful that he's going to be good. Do I think he's the answer to all of our dreams? No. Bill Parcells was the last time I felt that way. Um, I don't know if Aaron Glenn can beat Parcells. I love that he can pick up the phone and call Parcells. I love that, but I don't know if ultimately he's going to be the next Parcells. I don't know that. I don't think any of us do, which is why these predictions are such garbage.
Yeah, we can
you
only
know,
pray.
So
know.
like so with us here, right? We've been pretty straightforward on saying that we have no idea what the organization is doing. We have no idea what Aaron Glenn's going to do. We have no idea Tanner's going to do. We have no idea what Moji's going to bring, right?
Mhm.
But you can see that the culture is shifting, right? You could see that the media, the New York media, now I know it's only OTAs, it's still the off season, but I mean, you have guys that, so we had Antoine here, and Antoine was like, he's no nonsense. Like, he does not play when he's up in the podium and we're asking him questions. Just the other day, Aaron Glenn spoke again, and Rich is asking him a question, and he puts him in his place again. He's like, that's a stupid question that you're asking. Like, said that, right? And I'm like, damn, Skippy, man, like, that's my coach right now. Like, where has this been that we have not had this in such a long time? So when I see that, I'm like, wow, like, this is refreshing to be able to have somebody that's a Joe Douglas. That's a Joe Douglas question. You need to ask him and not ask myself. No, this dude is saying, like, this is what we're going to do. This is what's happening. I think the question was asked around Michael Clemens. And he just pretty much said, I've told you guys that we've had 100% participation so far, right? These things are not mandatory. They're voluntary right now, OTAs. There's going to be some times that some guys are going to miss, but as of right now, they've been here. So you're hearing this, right? And I love the comparison that people are trying to go with Parcells and him because, he talks about it all the time. I want Aaron Glenn to be Aaron Glenn. Like, I think that added pressure that gets added to this individual, it's not fair, right? Like, he was part of it. Yes, he was there, 98. He talked about it and everything. So I asked you this. So you're hearing all this. I'm talking about this right now, Gator, right? Have you watched the press conferences and what's your thoughts on it? Like, what do you think and see when he's talking up there?
Well, honestly, I hated when he snapped at Rich Cimini, um, because, hey man, you just got here. Can you back off a little? I know I can understand why some of the Jets fans are like, yeah, give him shit. But I kind of feel like Glenn came in a little strong. Um,
Okay.
Maybe that's what we need, but I kind of felt like he should have backed off a little bit and sort of just showed a little respect. I mean, that's one of the things I liked about Salah. He always showed everyone respect, no matter how bad things were. But I'll tell you the one thing that's going to tell the story about Aaron Glenn, and it's the problem we've had with all of our head coaches going back as far as, I'm going to go back to Bill Parcells, but I'm sure that you'd say that there's maybe a few in between that did this. But to me, the most important thing that Aaron Glenn is going to do is after a loss, when his team lets him down, and he stands in front of that podium and takes questions from the media, don't be mad at the people asking questions. Be mad at the players. And that's the coach I want to see. I want to see an Aaron Glenn that is at that podium, and unlike these last clowns that we've had, is pissed off at the players and not be snapping at the questions, because the media has the right to ask these questions. The fans want to know the answer to these questions. Why did you go for it on fourth down? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Don't be snapping at the media. And that's the one test for Aaron Glenn, because he's clearly a hothead. He's clearly somebody that's going to come at you.
Mm-hmm.
But go after your players, man, because They're the ones that are losing you the games, not us.
Well, hopefully we don't have to ask those questions. It'd be really nice if we didn't have to ask those hard questions like, why'd you do this?
Yeah.
Why
It's inevitable, you know.
why did you score all 4 touchdowns that game? That'd be really nice. But I actually wanted to rewind a little bit, Gator. I wanted to actually ask the question, if it wasn't Glenn, in your mind, who should it have been?
Well, head coaching experience. I live here in Tampa, and John Gruden is a rock star here. Everybody loves him. The Tampa fans talk really highly of him. He's made a name for himself. I understand why he didn't get a job, but I watch a lot of his breakdown of players, particularly, during the draft process and how he talks about offense and players and such. And I was a big fan of Gruden. And so he was early on the one that I wanted most. And then Vrabel, of course, as you start to listen to, I listen to you guys and Jake and, everybody talks about Vrabel. I start to learn more about Vrabel, and he would have definitely been the next guy that I would have liked. But I'd say Aaron Glenn was probably somewhere, in the 3 to 4 range.
Okay.
I love that he's a Jet. I'm just so tired, of having a coordinator get promoted, particularly a defensive coordinator, get promoted, and now it's like learn on the job kind of thing. And I hope he can do it. I hope he knows what he's doing. I hope, look, I'm tired of watching one Jets drive and watching these OTAs and watching that ball go in slow motion, and it's a perfect spiral. Oh my God, did you see the throw he threw to Alan Lazard? Oh, it was perfect. Fuck. It's just, I get nauseous watching it now because when the Rodgers ones were happening, I was drooling. I was like, oh, that slow motion pass in practice.
Right.
Come on, man. We're all a bunch of idiots because we took those things seriously. We were like, we thought that was real. Like that was actually what was going to happen on the football field. But the fact of the matter is the coaching sucked. So you could make all these great plays in practice, but if you can't put a plan together on the field and have your players, work together. Yeah, we've been watching the worst coaching in the history of the Jets over the course of the last few years, and it's just horrifying. And that's why, again, I'm dead inside.
Maybe they should do an entire episode of One Jets Drive where they just show people fumbling the ball and dropping passes. And then when we do catch a pass during a regular game, everyone would cheer. So true.
And Afram brings this up. It kind of goes to your point, right? I mean, he states it correctly. We won't know until the pads are put on and they really start to play. It's snowball. You and I have said it multiple times on this show when we've had other guests. Like, Justin Fields should be going 11 for 11, throwing these beautiful balls, doing he's like the best thing since cooked rice, right? Like, hey, Leany.
Hey, Leany.
But you're right. Like, I don't want to be fooled again because, Gator, you're completely right. That I remember, man, that season going to where Aaron Rodgers is coming here, right? And I hate to bring it up. I really do because I don't want to talk about that guy anymore. He's the enemy now, right? But we were all like, this is it. We were only a quarterback away. Everybody was saying it. And I hate reliving, thinking about the past and stuff like that. But every offseason, it goes back to 0-0 to me, man. And I'm in it again. Like, maybe call me an idiot, which I probably am, but I just can't give up on this team. Because I think for us three, I might be able to speak on it. If we win a Super Bowl, like, we're some grown-ass men that probably are going to have tears in our eyes, man, because, I think of my pops, like, just the 1994 Hofstra. I'm seeing Tony Miola kick Nobody even knows who this guy is. And I'm like, that's the reason why I became a Jet fan. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And,
sure,
and it was my pops. And to be able to enjoy that, or just the fandom that this team at times, and Jake says it all the time, they don't deserve it, man, because we're loyal to a T. Like, and but I'm invested in this damn squad, and I really believe that this year we're gonna surprise a lot of people. When you really break down the actual schedule itself, there are winnable games here, right? But you got to prove it. We don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? Carolina could go 17-0. It's just so impossible to predict. You know, you never know what. I remember so many years looking at the schedule being like, oh, it's hard. And then it turned out to be easy. Or it's easy and it turned out to be hard. Because every year's a reset. You're going to have, of course, you know, your top 5 teams, of course, you know, that you're going to see on your schedule. You're going to be like, oh, it's just going to, the Buffalo games are going to be tough, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like some of these other teams, you know, I don't think anyone saw Tampa here where I live doing as well as they've done with Baker Mayfield. You know, like everybody looked at that as, oh, they're gonna suck. You know, when they got him from Cleveland, and they've been pretty damn good. So it's kind of hard to say. You know, we don't know what any of these young quarterbacks that are going to be starting from, you know, Cam Ward to whoever else. You know, we don't know what they're going to do. You know, look at Pittsburgh now. You know, you can talk about Rodgers, but you know he's got to face Burrow twice. He's got to face Lamar Jackson twice. Hey, what's up, Boy Green? Yeah, I'm in the compound, man. So, you know, it's so tough to say. I don't look at the schedule. That's why I'm such a downer, I know, but I'm just like I don't want to hear about how many games we're going to win. I don't want to hear about our schedule. I don't hear about any of that shit because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter because we just don't know anything. And
100%.
Glenn could be the next Parcells. He could be the next Olber.
Adam Gase.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm not that smart. I'm really
nobody
not.
does.
If you brought me on here for smart shit, and you brought the wrong guy on because I make fart videos and I send them to Jake.
Well, then thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Bye. No, but yeah, it is the honeymoon phase. It is the underwear Olympics at practice right now, OTAs and all that stuff, and everything looks perfect and everyone's happy because we haven't lost any games yet. So, you know, keep your hopes up, folks, because what does that say? I like the
That's
Cowboy.
That's what I was going for. I was going for Brett Michaels. How'd you know that?
That's it. I mean, I couldn't tell the difference when you came on. To be the honest truth, I couldn't tell. I thought it was Brett Michaels.
But Gator, you're hitting right on it because it's the truth. We have no idea. We could say that they're gonna go 17-0 and all that. Could you imagine though,
dude?
Could you imagine?
There's no like, I tune out of these shows so quickly when that's the topic. When whether it be Jake or Boy Green or whoever it is, as soon as we're talking about how many wins we think the Jets are gonna have, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to listen to music. Honestly. There's certain conversations that go on too long. I got that way with the draft. You know, how many hours did we all spend talking about one effing pick? Think about it. How many hours do you think you watched and invested in these shows between January and the draft talking about one pick?
Because we're sick. We're sick in the head.
Sick.
Yeah.
We're demented.
Yeah. We are.
And I want more. I need more, man. Like my wife tells me all the time. She's like, how much of this stuff can you watch? Like she has a picture of me. Because I mean, you guys know I'm a Mets fan, right? So, and the Knicks are in the playoffs. I'm watching the Knicks game on the TV. I got the Mets on my phone as I'm watching the game. And she's like, there's something wrong with you. Like, it's just so much. Right. And then on the other TV, I'm like listening to Aaron Glenn's press conference that she's like, what is going on? Like, I'm excited that, you know, Amazon is doing the home team with a whole bunch of the Jets players from last year. Should I be watching this? Probably not, because we're not gonna win, right? It's just gonna bring all these memories of getting our asses whooped constantly. Well, we really didn't get our ass. Yeah, we got our asses whooped. But anyways, so Gator. So, all right. So we talked about Aaron Glenn, right? We talked about a little bit about the draft itself. Snowball just left, but it's all right. He just disappeared on us. But anyways, so we're here. We go ahead, and now Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers. Okay. We have Justin Fields, that was a Steeler last year. This is the revenge game, right? This is what it's going to boil down to. You got this guy, and then you have that guy. But now they've switched over. What's your take in regards to the first game of the season? Are you afraid that Aaron Rodgers is are you on that boat that you like are fearful in regards to Aaron Rodgers coming and beating the brakes off of us? Or are you like, the Jets have this guy's number, and when he was in Green Bay, we beat him. We were making him look dumb in practice. And we got this young guy, Justin Fields, that has some legs that could potentially be maybe the one that goes ahead and gets us that W. Your thoughts on all this?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said a few minutes ago, which is, now we're going to talk about one game for what,
Mhm.
for 3 months.
Then you know it. I mean, this just happened. This just happened.
No, I know, but I can see it coming. It's going to be like, the first time. Well, next week we'll have Rodgers' press conference, and he'll sit there and probably say, they'll ask him something about the Jets or Glenn, and then boom, there'll be 15 thumbnails that pop up on YouTube, with all the Jets shows. And you could just see it coming, right? I mean, it's about to happen. How do I feel about that game? Again, I'm torn because spoiler alert, I wanted them to keep Rodgers. And here's my thought about Rodgers is that I really believe that the struggles he had last year were first year back from Achilles is you're never going to be 100%. And I believe his year 2 after the Achilles is if in fact he has followed his routine in terms of keeping himself in shape. Year 2 after an Achilles, I think, is going to be, the Rodgers that he wanted to be in, the first year that we had him on the team. So I think he's going to have a good year in terms of his health. He also had an abomination of coaches surrounding him that, I don't think Tom Brady would have been successful in that particular offense and defensive plan. Then on top of that, you had the Denver and Minnesota games where he got hurt, and he clearly needed to take some time off. And the thing I'm most upset over Rodgers is that in that Minnesota game, that he came back into the game, and he shouldn't have, because I believe that if we would have thrown what's his face in there and let Rodgers take a few games off to heal.
Tyrod.
Tyler. If we could have let Rodgers heal for a few games, I think it could have been a different season. But so many things happened over the course of last year again that just have ruined all the passion that I have for this team, and it's just it's not to say that I'm not going to get it back, but like when I say I'm dead inside, the last 2 years just really ripped the heart out of me because I truly believed that Rodgers was going to make a difference, and it also breaks my heart to see Jet fans so disgusted by him when, if you look at all he sacrificed for us, considering how he tried to come back from the Achilles, how he wanted to be a Jet, how he gave us a lot, and I know he has a lot of things you can criticize and this and that, but to me, I wish him well. I do want to beat Rodgers, of course. But that's going to be a tall order. I think the Jets are going to be underdogs at home. I think it's going to be 4 points. I think you're going to see that, Justin Fields, who, a lot of teams wouldn't look at as a starter. They'd look at him as a backup. Aaron Glenn's first year. The Jets have a reputation of just being the Jets. And then you have Mike Tomlin and a Hall of Fame quarterback and the Steelers and then, and they're coming in to have their revenge game, or Rodgers have his revenge game on Aaron Glenn. I think there's going to be I hope it's not a dark day in MetLife, but if you were asked me to predict what's going to happen, I the Jets history in my heart is going to tell you that it's going to be a dark day. I hope it's not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it boils down to a battle not between Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers because they're quarterbacks with new teams. It really comes down to Aaron Glenn, who is a first-time head coach, versus Mike Tomlin, who is Mike Tomlin. So
Right.
that's really
That's big. That's big.
Yeah, it's gigantic,
Yeah.
and can David beat Goliath? Really, that's that's really what it is in my mind.
And then a first-time offensive coordinator, also.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's a coaching battle. It really is a coaching battle.
I think for myself, like if I'm Aaron Glenn, this is a statement game. Like you already saw the issue with everything that occurred with the sit down between Aaron and Aaron, right? There was this heavyweight champion bout that they were about to go at it and everything. And then Aaron Glenn is like, do you want to play or not? And then you got Aaron Rodgers like, yeah, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So like I could see it now. Jets, if the Jets lose, all hell is gonna break loose, dude. Like everything is gonna be people are gonna come out of the woodworks. Aaron Rodgers should have never left. You see what happens? Blah blah blah. Justin Fields not that guy. What I'm saying, it's one game. We need to have patience, but I believe in what Justin Fields could potentially do for us. And at the end of the day, now, Aaron Rodgers to me is the enemy, right? He's on the other side of that ball, and we need to show no mercy to this cat because we need to win. This is a statement game for Aaron Glenn and his reputation. Like, you guys remember when Rex played against against Belichick, right? And he won. And that right then and there itself just put him up here, and people were like,
It wasn't his first game, though, as a coach, though. That's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on Glenn for it to be his very first game. And he's got the fan base looking at him saying, don't let this guy beat us. Don't let this guy beat us. And it's the first game. And it's a week-to-week league. So, honestly, whatever happens in this game, you can count 5, 6, 7 days later, it's forgotten. It just week to week, everything resets. So Rodgers could come in and put up 6 touchdowns and destroy us. As soon as we face week 2, it's forgotten. We move on, and that's kind of the league. And so to me, it's we could talk about this game for another few months. It's going to be a big deal or whatever, but I don't think whatever happens in the game, I don't think is going to really matter in the long run because it's a 17-game season. And somebody's going to lose that day. Somebody's going to be 0-1. And if the Steelers are 0-1, they could very likely still make the playoffs. And if the Jets are 0-1, they could very well still make the playoffs. So it really comes down to, who's better prepared. And to me, on paper, I expect Tomlin's going to be better prepared. But I'm hopeful.
So
can we present some of the questions that the chat has put in for Gator?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, because I believe you starred some of them.
Yeah, I did. So I have a couple of starred questions up here. So we're gonna start with Boom. So Boom asked, right, how many stare downs do you project Rodgers sends Glenn's way in the opener?
52. and it'll be after every single positive play.
Writing
So
these down.
so
52.
it's not like when he was a Jet and then Tomlin went like that and he went like that. So that's not happening. It's
No,
more of
this is
like
just going to be,
that
yeah,
to each
it's going
other.
to be
Okay.
fuck you. Yeah.
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 Okay.
You know, I was thinking about the Alan Lazard thing, and I had chatted into Boy Green's show, and the thought that had crossed my mind to make me want to write something in the chat as they discussed Alan Lazard was, I hope the Jets, if in fact they're thinking about trading him, I hope that they sit him down and Aaron Glenn looks at him in the eye and says, "Do you want to be a Jet, or do you want to be traded?" And if Alan Lazard says, "I want to be a Jet," then he's a Jet. If he says, "I want to be traded," then he's traded. I think the fact of the matter is I have this thought, I have this sneaky suspicion that Alan Lazard really wants to be here and wants to be a Jet. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's going to say a lot about the man if the Steelers want him and he tells the team that he'd rather be with us. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see. Alan Lazard's an interesting guy to me. I wonder if he's going to jump ship for Rodgers.
But I mean, you don't think Lazard already did that by taking the pay cut and by
Yeah, he did. That's my point. Like I wouldn't have thought
Mhm.
of this if he hadn't done that. I mean, unless this was all planned in advance to say we need to restructure you so that we can trade you, and that's our plan is to trade you. But then again, on Twitter, didn't he put up something as
Yeah,
far as
yeah.
I'm not going from Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm
I'm
not
not
fucking
going anywhere.
leaving.
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
not fucking leaving.
Yeah. I love that. See, I love that. That to me is like, that's what I loved about Rodgers. I'm sorry to keep bringing him up, and a lot of people hate me for it, but it's like, I really truly believe that Aaron Rodgers wanted to be a New York Jet. And I think right up until the moment he was let go and his heart was broken, he wanted to finish the job here. I think the reason he didn't sign with the Steelers so quickly was because he was so heartbroken. He has a house here. I think he wanted to stay here. Um, so I'm not going to ever criticize him, short of, what, you play us, we're going to kick your ass. But he's still, in my eyes, he's somebody that wanted to be a Jet and wanted to be here. So um, I respect those type players as opposed to the ones that go to the Patriots.
Yeah. His biggest is the detriment and the asset was his arrogance. You loved him because he was arrogant, and when he
Yeah.
played, and then you hated him that he was arrogant when he left. So it's
Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword.
I don't call it arrogance as much as it's confidence, and it's
It's
sort of like
confidence.
it's like f you, I'm an MVP and a Super Bowl winner, and you guys aren't.
Yeah.
You should
Mhm.
listen to me. And you know what? We need more Super Bowl winners, and we need more players that are that have that kind of experience because we got a bunch of kids that don't know what it's like to be in the big game, and I hope they find their way, because it might be a few years. I don't think we're winning a Super Bowl in the next year or two, but hopefully they put something together.
So we have another question from Paganardi, and they state to you: do you remember that moment last season when you realized that we were dog poop?
Well, prior to the Halloween game, I was getting there, and then the Halloween game happened, and was a great, great time. I mean, just being with all the Asmaniacs, and you had the Garrett Wilson catch, and Rogers was hot that day, and I think we all walked away from the Halloween game like, we could go on a run here. Um, and then after that, I can't I can't remember when it was, but it's like it just seems as though I'm so used to as a Jets fan, just assuming the worst is going to happen. And every game you watch in November, um, at that point, whatever games that were in November, that we just shit the bed, and But the Halloween game was certainly the high point of the season. And the New England game, of course, game 3 was like, holy shit,
That was
yeah.
amazing.
And I say that to all the people that hate Rodgers. I'm like, I wish you could just rewind the tape and show me how you looked and how you felt after that New England game,
Hmm.
and how your thought process was of where we're going to be in December or January or February. That was a high point that we all just like fell in love with this team, and it went downhill so quickly. It's
Yeah.
amazing how it went to shit so quickly.
I can remember driving through New York City home from the game that week 3 after the Patriots game, and I was screaming out the window at people on the streets of New York. I was like, Aaron Rodgers, and they were like, yeah, and people are going crazy. Like the whole city was electric. And then
Ugh.
I think it was after Saleh got fired that's when the shit hit the fan.
Well, the Denver and Minnesota games, right? It was
Yeah.
like they were brutal. Like the Denver game, what was it, 6-0? I don't remember what the score was, but it was like there was no scoring in that game.
Yeah.
Oh man, and then the Minnesota game was just unbelievable.
Hmm.
I I I remember, man. I mean, Snowball, we hung out, right? We were caught on TV with the
Right.
whole like Amazon after show, whatever. You know, my daughter again comes in, sees that we, whooping some butt and whatnot. So it's my pops is with me. It's an amazing, amazing time, right? And then we're like driving back, and then you hear, Jake's on there, and then I always remember Leanie getting on, and like she's bawling because she's like, "Oh my God, like this is the year, like it's happening, we're seeing it." Then it just goes,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
on us, So I would
It
have to
didn't make
say,
sense, right? I mean, it didn't make sense. We saw what we had. We had a Hall of Fame quarterback. We had Garrett Wilson. We had Brees Hall. We had Sauce Gardner. We had Quinnen Williams. We had these guys, and we're looking and we're like, man, we haven't had these kind of studs. What went wrong? It's like,
Yeah.
how did we not just rip apart the NFL? And I just 100% point to coaching.
Yeah.
The coaching staff was exposed, and I do believe that we could have salvaged that year if they hadn't have dumped Salah so quickly. That was just such a stupid reactionary move. Do it the year before, but to do it after, what was it, game 5, 6?
yep,
Come
yep,
on.
yep.
Mhm.
Come on. You
And
threw the season away at that point with a veteran quarterback, you know?
we were going to Buffalo with the division, potentially us being able to be number one, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
So there was
Yep.
still a chance in regards to the season for us. So, all right, well, Gator, I'm gonna ask you some more Jet questions, right? So I'm not gonna talk anymore about the season, what we got going on. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about New York Jets that you're a fan of, right? Because that's what I want to. That's what I want to know. That's what I want our viewers to understand and see that, right? So I'm gonna start with, who do you hate that was a Jets player? Who's a player you're like, fucking idiot? Like, I can't believe he's a New York Jet.
And number one is always going to be Zach Wilson. There'll never be another number one. I I hate it. See, now I'll tell you a story about Justin Fields. So I have two buddies of mine. I'll call them out: Bill Haggerty and Amalio Martinez. Were my Jets brothers in New York. And we basically, like, if we can't watch the game together or go to games together, we're usually texting the entire game together. They're just my brothers, and we watched the college match between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields when they were
Championship game.
in the championship game.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we watched Fields, and we were giddy about Fields. We were like, oh man, this is our guy. We got to get him. We got to get him. We were just all over Fields. And when we picked Zach Wilson, we were disappointed. And then certainly after we saw Zach Wilson play for a year, became more and more disappointed. And I was actually just talking to them today that, we were saying, the Justin Fields thing, we all had it in our heart that that was going to be our quarterback. And when we didn't pick him, it's almost like what are the chances that out of 32 teams, we end up with the guy that we could have picked and we didn't. And maybe there's something there, maybe there's some sort of aura that, and he's got so much opportunity in front of him right now that he's never had before. He's a bona fide number one. The Jets are all in on him. He's got weapons. He's got protection. He's got so much opportunity in front of him to be successful. And I hope to God he just makes the most of it because I really like the kid. But I'm still a Jet fan at heart. So I'm automatically going to say, when does it go to shit?
Yeah.
We could start out 4-0. I'm still going to be, when does it go to shit?
Yeah, waiting for that shoe
I
to
just
drop.
can't help it.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Yep. It's built inside of us. I think it's like a part of our DNA now that you just expect the worst to happen at any time.
So much. It sucks so much, man.
It does. It does.
We can't enjoy this first year. Even if we're doing well, I don't think we'll be able to enjoy the first year.
If we went to a Super Bowl, I think I would probably have to be on meds. There's no way that I could make it through a Super Bowl without having some kind of panic attack. I don't know if I could make it through an AFC Championship game, although, the two that we went to took a lot out of me. But now, after going through all this, man, you better have like some kind of defibrillator sitting next to me if we are in the Super Bowl. I always say, like, even watching these Nick games have taken a lot out of me. And I'm not even like, basketball is not even like, a huge sport for me, but I do love the playoffs and I love the Knicks. And just, there were some of those games where, like, honestly, I felt like I needed to turn it off because I don't have a panic attack. They're so freaking exciting. I just was praying that the Knicks would give me a break. Give me one game where you win by 30, and I kind of feel the same way about the Jets. I'm like, so many games last year, I'm like, could you either lose by 50 or win by 50? Because I can't take this. I just cannot stand the palpitations that I have watching these games.
Because odds are we're gonna give up the victory.
I would say,
yeah.
I would say for myself, I disliked Quentin Coples. I could not stand him when we got him, and he was a bust and he sucked. Right. So that's one of the players that I can't stand as a Jet. Snowball?
My most hated Jet player? Man, I don't know if Denzel Mims. He was one of my most hated players.
Baylor?
The potential that he
green beans
had.
Guy.
Yeah, Denzel Mims. Horrible. Horrendous.
Is he still in the league? Is he still on a roster?
He's not in the league anymore.
So, all right. So then we went from hate it. So who are some of your beloved New York Jets of all time?
Joe Klecko. Okay. Joe Namath.
Okay.
Curtis Martin. Chad Pennington.
Okay.
I'm going to lock it in about there because then it starts getting into a different tier. I really like Chad Pennington a lot. The thing I'll tell you I liked about Chad Pennington is that I felt as though he was an intelligent person. And I think that your quarterback, the most underrated aspect of a quarterback to me is intelligence. And when you hear someone at a podium speak and break apart the game, it's really, really important that you can see that their brain is going in a certain direction and they're actually speaking well and they're formulating ideas. Because that position, of course, is probably the most important position of almost any sport in terms of the difference maker. Because so many of our quarterbacks, you take Mark Sanchez, like he was good and all, but like, between the butt fumble and, you have Geno Smith who gets punched in the face in the locker room, some of the things that happened, it's just like, what is wrong with this moron? But Chad Pennington to me was definitely one of the smartest quarterbacks I think we ever had, and maybe he didn't have this tools, the physicality that, that some of these other guys had, but he made up for it with his brains. He's so accurate. He was so accurate with the ball. I love Chad Pennington.
It seems like a lot of players these days give just robotic answers. It's like it's catchphrase and this and that, and got to look at the tape and whatever. And yeah, I agree with you. Chad Pennington was different because he actually gave like cohesive answers. Like he was actually speaking from his brain instead of just what people wanted to hear or what he was told to say.
And if you think about the thought process in a quarterback's mind when he takes that ball from center, how many decisions he has to make. Like most of the other players on the team, have one or two things they have to think about and do.
Mm-hmm.
But that quarterback, everything that goes through their mind of all the different things and the changing of plays and keeping an eye on so many different threats coming at them. It's just it's masterful to watch a great quarterback at work. And we have so many of them in the league right now, which is what makes it so difficult to compete. When you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, Burrow, you watch these guys and how they just are masterful. Until we get a guy like that, we don't have a shot. We can win 9 games, we can win 10 games, 11 games, but you got to get that guy. And if Fields can somehow turn into that guy, great. But nobody's winning a Super Bowl in this day and age without one of those guys, What was the last shit quarterback that won a Super Bowl? The guy from Baltimore? What was his name?
Trent Dilfer.
Dilfer, right? Dilfer. That's like
the
a
Ravens,
trivia
right?
question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was the Ravens, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like so rare, right? Where your quarterback is like just so mediocre. Man, Fields better be a stud. He better be like the next Patrick Mahomes. Because if he isn't, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I got Armand. I got
Nick
Armand.
Foles.
Nick
Yeah,
Foles.
there you
That's
go.
a good one
Nick
as
Foles
well.
Is another one. Yeah, there's been so few that, and those are the best coaches, right? Andy Reid.
Yeah. Well, they said that they wanted to play fast, right? Which brings us back. Who is the coach of the Eagles, who had the super fast offense? What was his name?
I know exactly who you're talking about. He
Right?
came over from, I think, was it Oregon, right?
They had an amazingly fast offense. It was hurry up like the entire game. Chip Kelly, right? Jay Quest.
Chip Kelly. There we go. Yep.
Thanks, Jay Quest. Yeah,
Thank
Chip
you,
Kelly. That's what I think about when Scott said it too. Team Curry said it, right? Armand's skin there. That's what this kind of reminds me of when Engstrand said that we want to play fast. Is it going to be like hurry up offense? Is it a one read offense? Is it whatever? I hope. I just want it to be exciting, and I think all Jet fans really just want it to be exciting. I can't. We've gone through so many years, right, Gator? That and Johnny, we've gone through so many years of it being like just a stagnant offense and a predictable offense. Something different, something creative. Maybe Engstrand comes up with something creative this year.
The only thing that scares me about that in a first year coach is we're already coming off of a coaching staff that couldn't have a cohesive enough group to keep our penalties down. Like we must have been one of the most penalized teams in the last few years. That was the most frustrating thing watching these games is those penalties, particularly the personal fouls. And if this coaching staff is going to play that fast, Fields better be on his game in terms of his brains because, the false starts are going to happen, and the this guy in the wrong location here, a lineman downfield, all those penalties we had last year, just so flag after flag after flag. I just that again is one of the most frustrating things watching Jet games is it just seems like it's been a really long time since we've had a team that doesn't go out there and shoot themselves in the foot constantly.
Yeah, maybe they can bring back that like Sanchez offense that was just like so simple that
Yeah.
Maybe they can play fast and simple at the same time. Hoping.
I don't know. I wouldn't bet on anything with this team.
Look, so going back to what we were talking about, the favorite Jets, right? I'm gonna have to say they were talking about it, and I wanted to shout them out. So my dad's favorite Jet was Kenny O, right? So, and I loved him too because that was my dad's guy. I just remember that dude had a tank of an arm, man, and doesn't really get talked about. Wayne Corbett, right? I love Wayne Corbett. Shout out to Hofstra. And John Hall. John Hall is somebody that does not get talked about often. I thought that dude was so dope, man. Like with the helmet, I was like, this might be just because I don't know something about kickers, maybe because
your team sucks when one of your favorite players is the kicker.
Is the kicker?
It's like because we didn't score any touchdowns. I love that damn kicker. He was awesome.
He had a lot of points.
Yeah, I would. I don't know, man. Snowball, some of your favorites?
Yeah, I'm always gonna say I grew up like Gator. I was in the same spot as you, like late 70s, early 80s. Going to Shea Stadium, and I grew up with the Sack Exchange. So, like Mark Gastineau was like the rock star of the defense. He just long hair coming out of the back of the helmet and the sack dances and all that crap and talking shit and being photographed on motorcycles with a hot blonde and all this stuff. Like he was my first favorite. But going to Hofstra and actually like being at school while Wayne Corbett was there, that was pretty awesome. So Wayne Corbett's probably like my number 2. And then my obscure one is Gerald Soule. So, if everyone knows Gerald, so that's my obscure favorite Jet.
Yeah, if I had one more on my list, I would make it Wayne Corbett. He was certainly, the little engine that could. He was awesome. I love.
Yeah, he was against all odds. Yeah,
yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, dude, that was we could have a full segment about Wayne Corbett, man, and just Wayne Corbett's gonna win the game. I do not have an Arnold voice at all. That's my Arnold impersonation right there. Maybe Gator, you could probably do it a lot better, but that was the one for myself. But yeah, dude, all we could do is hope, right? We could hope that this team could potentially. We're going this year with. We don't know, right? So we
hope
don't
is
know.
Hope is all we ever have,
Yep.
And
Jets fans are always high on hopium.
Yeah, just be prepared to be let down is all.
So we do have a question from Quest, right? That he asked this. Gator, why did you need a helmet for flag football?
I don't know. I'd have to go in a time machine, I guess. I don't know. They told me to wear one. It was definitely flag football. It was sixth grade, and everybody's running around the field. I guess if you think about it, it's not even necessarily to protect your head, but if you're trying to learn how to play the game, it's a lot to have a helmet on and to actually be able to see the field through through a face mask. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe it was not necessarily because back then, you could ride a bicycle, right, without a helmet. It's not like they were afraid of us falling down and hitting our head. They didn't give a shit back then. So for football, considering it was flag football, it could have very well been just sort of like we need to prepare these kids to be able to wear pads and wear, big things on their heads and see through, it might have been that. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Should we put up the other one? This is
and if you're being sarcastic, Jay Quest, I hope your next shit is square.
Paul Boy Green says favorite Bret Michaels song, Lay Your Body Down, something Rogers will be doing quite frequently week 1.
Oh, it's got to be on Skinny Bop.
On Skinny Bob.
Come on. On Skinny Bop, 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 Bop. Oh, come on. It's not
Blow
even
Me
a
Away.
contest.
That's it.
Now we got another one from Thunder Lips. Gator, if I sent you a 1-minute part compilation I made 2 years ago to Careless Whispers, would you think it's weird if I sent it to you?
Yes. Yes. Oh wait, I'll do Mets 21-28. Yes and no.
We've never had a Mets 21. We do have his middle finger in the chat, but we've never had a Mets appearance. We did, Johnny. We
debuted him.
We debuted
him.
And his name was not Six Rings. Patriots
They're
12.
two different people. They're two different people.
Are they?
Six Rings is not Mets 21-28.
No.
21-28 is
No.
He talks like this. He's like, God, you son of a bitch.
He's Gilbert Gottfried. But no, we had, like, I know that Six Rings has been on Jake's show, but I think we broke his ground.
Yep.
He actually came on our show. Was it 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
it was the Friday before that Saturday call.
Right.
It was
I
that night.
saw him on I think it was on Charles' show the other night.
Yeah. But he came in. His name was 6 times champs.
Yep, 6-time champ.
When he
It was
first
definitely
showed
the
up.
same guy.
Same guy.
Definitely same guy.
Same guy.
We were scared.
I might do. You think I should do an impression? Should I call
you
into Jake's
should.
show with
You
Six
should
Rings?
definitely.
I might
do
have to
that.
order. The only thing is, I may have to order a Patriots shirt.
Maybe you just get a shirt that is red that has a 12 on it.
Yeah.
I'd probably go to like a homeless place somewhere and rip it off of some homeless guy.
Gator, when we tell you that Snowball and I both had on the eject button, like the mouse was on there, because all we saw was from here up. That was it. And then out of nowhere, we started seeing like his phone was like dropping. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like
I could get all of you guys demonetized and canceled on all your shows. just the way that I set these things up. Like when I called in his Mets 21-28 the other day, I take his call and then I take a frame of him, I remove him from it, and I rebuild his background so that I can put it behind me. And then I set up a loop of one of the times he called in where Jake is talking. So, and this is what I do for every call. So I have whoever it is, they're listening to Jake. So they're just this, and I loop it. So when Jake sees it in the StreamYard little box in the corner, it's that guy. So he sees Mets 21-28, and he's just there like this, and he's listening to Jake. It just looks like he's waiting. And then when Jake cuts it, I got my finger on the button and I go bang, and it's me. But I could put up like, the worst kind of porn ever and then just get everybody just demonetized, because you'd think, oh, it's Snowball calling in. Let's go to Snowball. Next thing you know, it's like an oil drilling thing covered in hair. You know what I mean?
This is why we try to keep everyone on our good side, especially Gator.
Yeah, I literally, it's almost like, it's like Elon Musk can go on Twitter and just like, because he owns Twitter, and just figure out how to just destroy half of people's lives by putting out fake tweets or whatever. I could probably destroy as many shows as I want, by just calling in and dropping porn.
Well,
boom, boom, boom.
The good thing about this show is we would not get demonetized.
Oh, you're not there yet?
No.
Oh, $1.76. Come on, we gotta get you up there. By the way, I on Gator Sports, which if everybody in the chat, all 4 of you, can go to Gator Sports and subscribe. I'm at like 460, 470. Once I hit 500,
You got to get them to 500.
then I'm going to do a live show. And I think my first live show, I've decided, is going to be a full origin story of Beastbreaker, where I'm going to literally have him, before we even do it, I'm going to have him He's tough to deal with. Let me tell you, he's not. It's not easy. But when I can sort of get through to him to some level, I want him to give us a tour of his house because we don't know what's downstairs. We don't know like what's in and around. So I want to do like pre-recorded sort of like where he has his phone and he's like, here's my this and here's my that. But it ain't gonna be easy. But that's my plan. And then I want to do like a live show with Beast and try to really interview him and work really hard is to try to find out all of the questions that we have, get them answered. Because, as you know, you ask him a question and you don't get the answer,
Mm.
you get something.
First impression seeing Beast, did you believe he was real?
So many people thought he was me. What do you mean that I figured he was real?
Oh, no, I
I
didn't
can't
think
tell
he
you.
was.
Nick Shine, months had passed and Nick Shine was still telling people that's Gator. Gator has found a way to mess with us all. Him in particular would not believe it.
I just didn't believe.
And there were a
that he was
few others that like, no, I look, I was one of the few that was on the Beast train from the very beginning. I loved what he brought to the show. I found him to be incredibly dangerous
Yeah.
and incredibly exciting because every time he came on, it just was like it was a bomb that was going to go off, And I always say to Jake, I go, he's very capable of doing something where you're going to unfortunately never have him on again.
Mm.
Like he might say something or do something that's just so inappropriate, that you'll have to shut him down. And that almost happened a few times.
Yes.
But he's kind of like ever since I got his internet fixed, I helped him fix his internet.
Mm.
And Jake has worked really hard too to try to channel him, and he thinks he's the co-host of Jake's show. He really truly thinks that. So he's the co-host. A lot of people don't know that, but it's the Jake Asman show with Beastbreaker.
Featuring Beastbreaker.
He 100% believes that he is the co-host.
Is he
Which is why he was so mad he's so mad at this guy Beasley because he doesn't want to lose that. In his heart of hearts, this show is his life. It's the most important thing to him. So if Beasley takes that away from him, his life is over. And that's what I don't think people understand is that in his mind, that's the threat of this guy Beasley is he doesn't want him to take away the most important thing to him in his life. And it is the Asmaniacs in that show, which is why I think people are starting to like him that maybe didn't like him because they realize how much he loves this show and how much he loves this community.
I still believe that he's a method actor and he just has everyone fooled.
So I still sometimes think, who I thought that of? Lane. When Lane first called in, I was Jake, he's putting us on. I'm like, there's no way this is just like he watched. I think I don't mean to take credit for it. I'm like, he saw what I was doing and he's like, oh, I'm going to be this character and I'm going to call in. And it took me the longest time to finally realize that Lane, that's just Lane.
That's just Lane.
Yeah. Love him.
I
Love him.
I still believe Beast is, again, a method actor. And one day he'll just be like, you guys are a bunch of suckers, man. I've had you all from
honestly,
day one.
Yeah. It honestly wouldn't shock me.
Question from Paganardi. Gator, are you on the list of Beast daily calls?
Yes, but I've had to shut down my Instagram because I didn't know that you could call people through Instagram.
Oh my God.
And that was my only communication, still is my only communication with him, but I had to turn off the notifications completely so that anytime he was calling me 5-6 times a day, and I have audio messages from him that are hysterical. I have one. So he texts me and he says, Gator, I need help with my camera. And he followed that with a voicemail that's him yelling at me. I don't want to do it too loud, but Gator, I need help with my camera. Call me. That's the message
He sounds just like
you
him.
sound just like him. Dude.
Oh my God.
That's exact. But I listened to it like 20 times because I was hilarious. It was hilarious. I was like, why is he yelling at me to help him with his camera? That doesn't seem like a nice thing to do. But I never helped him.
Oh man. Hey, so this is around the time, right? So everybody, We got Gator on, right? And Gator, I don't know if you have some time to rock, but we like to get some callers to call in, just kind of talk if you're cool with that. Maybe
Yeah, I
ask
could
you
do
a
another
couple of
15.
questions.
I got some family waiting for me at a local pub where we're watching a band. But I could do
Nice.
another 15. I could do another 15 or so.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll
So
post the link and I'll put that in the chat for you guys. We'll pin it. We'll pin it on YouTube, and you guys can call in and spend an evening with Gator McKlusky.
and
Here I am.
I think this was a lovely evening. I mean, we've gotten some really good impressions that I think that he's done already.
You want me to sing some songs?
You're spot on with the. You're definitely.
You
spot on.
have to do every.
Kyle Clifton.
Oh,
Not this one.
Can I ask you a question about that?
One.
I need to ask you a question about that. Is that a influence of Jane's Addiction? Is that a Jane's
No,
Addiction
it's
influence?
more Axl Rose. It's actually more Axl Rose for me.
Okay.
I I try to do each thing a little bit different, but I was channeling Axl Rose for that. I don't know if it sounds like Axl Rose. It
Okay.
probably sounds more like me just doing a voice that isn't me, but it was Kyle Clifton, not this one, but that one.
And I believe that every time you record in the studio, you should have a camera on. You should record yourself,
Dude.
and
So you know
that
what's the
would be a
funniest thing?
best of.
So many of my songs are the voice of the person that I'm imitating. Like I'm trying to think of one for example, but but a lot of times I have to sing it and then I have to sample the person's voice and
Mhm.
replace my voice with it, but it is me singing it. But if you would hear me sing it, it would sound kind of ridiculous,
That's what we want.
especially
Well,
yeah.
that's what I want
I
personally.
I don't have
I want
video of it, but I have I have all
no.
my raw files because I do it in in a sound studio type program where I have everything isolated. So my vocals are they're isolated and they're they're quite
I'm
funny.
picturing later on down the road. It's just Gator McKlusky, the studio tapes, and
The
like
great-
I
Greatest
wanted to
hits.
do one of the things I want to do on the Gator Sports channel, I think, is kind of like have a bunch of people come in and like we're gonna do an intro tonight. And let's have the chat like vote on who we're gonna do an intro for, and then completely do it from start to finish. Where, I sing it, I create the music, and everybody in the chat maybe kind of chimes in as to like, oh, we should add this, we should add that, and then over the course of whatever, generate an intro or some kind of a jingle for somebody. And maybe people will find it interesting, or maybe they'll be bored to death. I don't know.
I find it fascinating. I mean, I'm an art teacher, so I love to see the creative process happen. So that's just what I'm into, and I think that would be fantastic. I would watch. I could watch probably like 8 hours of that.
Dude, and they're so catchy, man.
That's the stupidity, because the freaking those are law books. You're an asshole because I wake up in the morning and those are law books is in my head. Like, I don't know,
dude.
man.
I like
the Dave Briga one was like next level. I can't believe how catchy that became for some people. The
infectious.
The One Punch Briga.
Dude, I was just about to say that. Punch, Briga. You're like,
and how about how mad Bobby was because of the whole to get a job thing? Like I never thought when I was doing it, like he says that Charles and Bobby need to get a job. When I started that, I never for a second thought that there would be Charles wasn't mad, but Bobby was furious. He blamed Briga. He was pissed at Briga.
Yes.
And Briga's like, I didn't make the song.
Oh, and the yeehaw at the end.
Nothing to do with that.
So let's put you like on the spot right now, right? Because dude, you do really great imitations, dude. It's amazing, right? So you have myself and Snowball. Can you do one of myself and Snowball?
And I'm sorry, say again.
is it a possible that you're able to do an imitation of either myself or Snowball, like
Oh.
right on the spot?
Well, it's tough because you guys don't have any sort of like real quirks about you. Like some of the ones that I did were forced. Like I had to force try to like Bonesy's not somebody that necessarily is somebody that jumped out at me as someone that I could imitate. But I did it in the fake Asman show that I did.
Mm.
And the thing about Bonesy that I was on was like
We see
he's
that
always like it's Skeeter's so funny. He's so he does this and he's just funny. And like that was like hard to do because and you and Snowball, there isn't like a real sort of immediate jump out at me. So if I was tasked to have to imitate you, it would be hard. I'd have to probably watch a lot of you to find that thing.
We do have someone waiting backstage who would like to ask you a question. So
Yep.
Fine.
we don't know I don't know what this is gonna do, but let's bring in Jay Quest. Did you bring him in?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
We can't see you.
Let me hang up and hold on.
Okay. Call back. It's Jay Quest. He wants to ask you a question.
Right on. Jay Quest is a
Indeed.
master of the calls, the fake calls into shows. He's
Oh,
incredible. How he just
lightning
bang,
fast.
bang, bang, bang.
Yes.
It's just incredible.
That's a gift.
He's got stand-up comic, inbred in him. Like if he ever wanted to be like a stand-up comic, I think he could do it because that's what that is. That's sort of like off the cuff sort of bang, and it's just amazing because I edit those calls and I try to tighten them up, and he's one of the few that like I don't even have to edit the thing. It's just he's so rapid fire. There's no editing needed. It's all great.
He's in here right now. You just can't see him.
I don't know
Go
what's
ahead.
going on. I see you guys. I see myself on my camera.
Yeah, we just don't see you.
Weird.
Really.
That's all right.
No, I
You can
don't-
be invisible. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let's try this. Let's try this.
I'm good with being out on screen, bro. I'm ugly.
There you
That it.
go.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, look at
Stop.
you.
What's up, man?
No, what's going on? I got like
Oh.
3 minutes before I got to do something for work. But Gator, you put on great shit, man. Great content on Jake's
Thank you,
show.
man.
We all,
Thank you.
we appreciate that. That being said, I got a confession. So I don't know if it makes you feel good or not, but I've actually masturbated to the Dave Briggs song, and I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm fine with it. But Dave Brigga, I got to tell you, I hope he's not watching, and I hope nobody. I see you folks in the chat. Please, nobody, let Dave Brigga know what Jay Quest just said, because if he finds out, all shit's gonna hit the fan.
I'm not ashamed.
Not.
Quest,
No, I understand. I don't want to lose Brigga. If we lose Brigga, we got problems. He's
Jay
too
Quest, do you feel
dangerous
that
a
you get?
man.
Do you feel as though you get bigger with Brigga?
Absolutely. It goes from
Yeah.
like a inch to like 2 inches. Solid,
Good.
bro. Solid.
Oh.
Hold on, let me show you. No, I'm kidding.
All right, go ahead.
Quest, at what point do you climax though? Like what part of the song it gets the job done for you?
Oh, it's got to be the yeehaw.
I got to run, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Later,
Thanks, Jay
Quest.
Quest.
Take care, man.
Sick bastard.
Oh boy.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so.
We got a new name. Look,
One
stroke
stroke
Brigga.
Brigga.
Oh. You know that Jay Quest likes to yank one when he sees me.
Yo, and I could just see it.
There's gotta be something about tunnels
Wait, let me write that down.
There's gotta
I
be
gotta
something
do that
about
tonight.
tunnels and trains and rub one out.
You know that Jay Quest likes to rub one out on me. Jesus Christ. I'm going to hell. I have a whole folder of shit that I sent to Jake that he said, nope, can't air that.
Yeah,
Oh man.
I think I've sent some emojis that weren't approved either. So
Yeah.
whatever.
He usually says, that's great, but I can't play it.
Mm.
I had
Yeah.
one where I had Cow and Coward, in a Shadow Realm, and I had a skeleton come in and take a sword and slice him in half, and like Callan Collarwood's whole body split and blood was shooting out. And he's like, "Oh man, I can't play that."
Mortal Kombat style.
Yeah, it was just bloody, you know. And then
But kids,
he won't play the Rick Kent things anymore because Rick Kent got upset.
he's mad at you.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you made him
he
fart on
doesn't-
children. How dare you?
You know, see, the problem is I was tasked to do that. I wasn't tasked to have him fart on children, but I was tasked to, hey Craig, Gator, hey Gator, I need you to do a Rick Kent intro because he donates so much to the show. I think he deserves an intro. And I'm like, he's kind of vanilla. I'm like, I don't know what to do with the guy. He's just very plain. I'm like, he doesn't have any sort of like quirky thing that I could like come up with something. He's like, well, it's like Clark Kent because he's Rick Kent. He's like Clark Kent. So just do I don't know, Superman. And I was like, oh, okay. So I typed on Google a funny Superman. And then what came up is a cartoon from a show called Ren and Stimpy where they had this character called Powdered Toast Man. He flies backwards and he puts people on his butt and he flies backwards. And so I was like, oh, that looks funny. I'll just make him because I couldn't make him Superman. It had to be something funny. So I decided to make him Powdered Toast Man. So I put Rick Kent's head on Powdered Toast Man. And when the kids come down and they land on his butt and then he takes off. And then I was done with it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. And I'm like, well, I have to have a fart sound, right? When the kids land on his butt, because what else would happen right there? I needed something else, right? So I put a little fart sound on there. And I guess that offended him. So he didn't like to be represented farting on kids. I was like, it's kind of not what I was going for. I didn't really mean to offend you by having you fart on kids. I'm like, it's a silly Powdered Toast Man like Ren and Stimpy video. I wish I hadn't done it, but then he got all mad and he called me a dick. And then I did another one where I took Family Guy and I had him blowing up balloons with a fart and popping it on kids. And that's when I think I might have taken it too far. Sorry, Rick Kent. So he hates me. You know?
Well, yeah, listen, they
And
haven't
he
been
says
played
he
since.
says he doesn't think I'm funny. It's like, okay, whatever.
So let me ask you this because Rich just brought this up, and this was cool, right? You did the Shadow Realm, right? And then the other one too, which was to go to what was it? A Crazy
Stupid
Town? Stupid
Town, yeah.
How does that like? How do you come up with that? What makes you be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to Stupid Town?
Man, it's been so long since I did one of those, but those were mostly built on, you know, Jake doing a show about how pissed he was that a particular, you know, commentator out there, you know, whether it be Colin Cowherd or, you know, any of these other guys would say something that angered him. And then I would immediately like say, well, then we have to send him to the realm. So I would come up with something each time. I'd put whatever quote they had, and then I'd have, you know, something happen, whether it's a missile come in and blow them up, or, you know, have Dave Chappelle come in and, you know, or Will Smith come in and slap them, you know.
Right.
There were a bunch that, you know, I got a whole, oh my God, I was going through the folder today. I must have more than 1,000 different clips and videos, you know, and all the opens I did too. That is one last thing I'll bring up about, you know, how great and bad, how horrible the last 2 years were. My excitement level every time, you know, like the very first time when Rogers, you know, there was that tweet where Rogers was for the very first time on the Jets facility and he was walking in slow motion into the front doors. That's like, oh my God, I got so excited. I made an open, and the open, like the center of the open was always this shell where I could put stuff in. So I created the beginning of the open and the end of the open, which kind of mostly stay the same. And then the center where I could drop in clips. And it was like, oh, one open's going to be just Rogers walking into the front door. And that was like an open. And then the next day he threw a pass and it was like, oh my God, I flipped out. I'm like, gotta do a new open. You know, I haven't done an open for Jake in like months because I'm just, what am I going to do? Have, you know, another slow motion pass from Justin Fields going, you know, it's like, oh, got to do a new open. I'm not nothing has excited me. And in the Shadow Realm, I guess at some point, it might come back, but it kind of got tired, I guess, in terms of how many different ways I can destroy somebody inside the Shadow Realm. So we moved on to Super Stupid Town, and then that's evolved into whatever the next
The
thing is, I
Hole.
guess.
Yeah, right.
Well, you got the Hole. Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
That was Jake's idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, that was Jake's idea, and yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do any more of those, but who knows? I mean, it's fun. If it makes me laugh, I just stop everything I'm doing and I do it. I do this for the laughs. It's just I I love to make myself laugh, and then if other people laugh, it's like golden. Um, but I've
And if
had some
people,
stinkers. I called in once from the shower. I wasn't proud of that.
That was my favorite
That
one.
I bet. Um, that came
it's Jake
about
Quest's favorite
because
too.
there were a couple of callers that had made mention that they call in from the shitter, and I thought, and then Jake had this big debate on the show about how could you call in from the bathroom? That's crazy, and then I got this idea. I'm like, oh, I'll call in from the shower, and then I did it, and Jake was like, I didn't like that one. I was like, oh, all right.
So good. I know you stated you have to head out, right? So we appreciate you coming on, man, and we wanted to know, where can everybody catch you? Like, where can everybody come and see if they want more Gator?
Well, I have three channels. I've got the Gator Sports channel, which is primarily all Jake stuff. I am going to go live there soon. I just want to do it right. I don't want it to be a Jets channel. I want it to be, part of me wants it to be a post game show for Jake's show where I could, when I feel like it or when I can, particularly in the late show, because I have a day job, where I could just tell them, hey, I'm going to do a post game show, and people can come over and chat it up. But I want it to be more of a get to know Asmaniac type thing, where I'm doing a deep dive on particular Asmaniacs and showing maybe any and all clips associated with that particular Asmaniac, and make each show about not similar to what you're doing now, but with a complete and total ridiculous constant comedic turn to it. um and that's my goal, is to do something fun, not too regular, just sort of like, I'll do one now kind of thing. And then my main love is Burt Reynolds, which is, when I first started my channel, back right as COVID hit, I was looking for something to do. And I grew up loving Burt Reynolds. And so I decided to make a channel. I dedicated it to his memory. And I've been doing a series on him. I just released chapter 9, which covers Burt's career in and around 1987 to 89. So I started at the beginning, and then I'll slowly get all the way up to, his final films before he passed. And that's my passion. I have a name for myself in the Burt Reynolds community. Like, people have found me, and it's gotten a really nice audience, for me. And that's something I'm really proud of. And then I have another channel, which is just a lot of shit that I've done since I started messing around with editing and video from the late 80s, which is crazy. There's some shit on there that where I've got a mullet and I'm like a kid. So you can go way back into the uh, catalog of Gator, where it's just a lot of insane stuff. Like, for example, back in the early 90s, I did a skit called Mall Cop, and my brother helped me write it. And we went to a local mall in Nanuet, the Nanuet Mall, and we shot this whole like mall cop thing. And it was sort of a play on how ridiculous a mall cop is, and how they take their job seriously, like they're this like serious cop. And years later, Kevin James did a movie called Mall
Oh,
Cop,
God,
Yeah.
that's funny.
and my brother felt as though he had stolen the idea from us, because we were on public access television at the time, and we broadcast in and around New York. And Kevin James is from there, and he was my brother was absolutely he stole our idea, because it was a decade or more later, and he started a lawsuit and tried to go after Sony, but it was too much money to spend to, but it was kind of sort of our idea in the early '90s to do this like mall cop guy. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Paul Blart Mall Cop. But
I love that, dude.
What is
Yeah.
is that's in the link tree that it's in the description of this video. So if you're watching,
yeah. So if you go to
Gator's
the
link.
my link tree, which I appreciate you guys putting that in the description. If you go there, there's access to all my pages in there, and a lot of music too. I do a lot of music. I'm a drummer. I've had like 3-4 bands, and I've done music videos for anything I've ever done because
That's awesome.
that's my creative thing. One project that I'm particularly proud of is one called Hunting Party, which there's a thrash metal band called Exodus, who they're still out there today doing a good job. The lead guitarist Gary Holt used to was with Slayer. Anyway, I'm friends with those guys, and I talked the drummer of that band into being a singer in my band. So I'm the drummer, he's the singer, and we did a 4-song EP. And those 4 songs are up there, including interviews and stuff, and it's something I'm really
awesome.
proud of. Yeah.
I'll have to talk to Kevin James about the mall cop thing because I see him at church all the time. So
do you really?
I do.
Yeah.
So we got one person that came on and wants to ask you a quick question.
It's a quick question.
Are you good?
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
My wife's texting me, "Where are you?" But yeah, we'll do one more.
Okay.
I love you guys. Here we go. Thunder Lips.
Oh my God, he put me on the spot.
See,
Okay,
I could do an intro for you. You got to call in a few more times a week, and I could definitely like.
Gator, I sent you something today that do not judge me, okay? When you were talking before, when you were saying you love farts, I made a fart compilation like 2 or 3 years ago for my nephew over the Careless Whispers song from George Michael's.
Okay.
So don't think I'm a psycho. I just said that to you just for you, though. Okay.
All right.
So I dipped out for a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the Jets. I listen to a lot of fantasy talk, right? I'm a big dynasty guy, fantasy football. So thinking about Tyler Enstrang, when he was in Detroit, the first year, Sam Laporta, he had 120 targets, right? They had no number 2 wide receiver. They had freaking Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that was it. The second year, his targets dropped from 120 to 83, right? Because J-Mo was there. Like, what do you think that means for Mason Taylor or in this offensive system, since we don't really have a number 2 wide receiver?
I have no idea. I mean, honestly,
does that make sense though, or no? I mean, like,
I hear what you're saying. I've always kind of felt that Fields was going to be somebody that wasn't going to throw bombs. I always felt that he's somebody that's going to dump it off. He never kind of comes across to me as if he's somebody like that's going to sling it downfield. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's going to hit the slot a lot. I think he's going to rely heavily on tight ends and the running backs. I'd love to see both backs in there. But honestly, I don't. Again, I go back to what we first started talking about at the beginning. Is that I honestly don't think any of us really know what to expect. This is going to be a huge surprise. When we see this offense, I just hope to God that they keep the penalties down, and that they show us something that we haven't seen before, which is winning.
That's going to be like the biggest thing is like how controlled the team is, right? Because this team seems like it's been uncontrolled for years. As Jets fans, we've been kicked in the face for years. Like, we've been embarrassed. Like, sure. we all are starving for something that's just like honorable and something that has integrity. You know what I mean? So we all want to believe in Aaron Glenn, but until I see it, I don't believe it. And you guys were talking about it before. It sucks. It's like we all been gut punched. You know what I mean? It's like we have no soul inside. It's like we want to believe it. It's like we're a fan. So what else are we gonna do? We're not gonna be like Allen and be like, "Oh, this team sucks" and this and that. What else are we gonna do? right? We play
Yeah.
fantasy football, we play dynasty, we do all this other shit because that's what keeps us interested in football. But
Oh yeah, 100%.
right, the last 2 years it's been like Brees Hall, Garrett. We have pieces, and it's like I want them to succeed, and I'm just looking at like silver lining and shit like that, and looking at we have no idea what our offensive coordinator has never been an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He's been an offensive coordinator in college. He's been an assistant, right, with Detroit.
The
So
XFL.
right. I'm sorry. Yes, XFL. Well, he was with Harbaugh, Khaki Harbaugh, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So
I mean, TL, I tell you this, right? I think we're going to surprise a lot of people because everybody's expecting us to just run the ball. I remember Justin Fields when he was in Ohio and he was in the pocket. His last thing was to run. When he was in Chicago, they had a crap offensive line. It was constantly ranked dead last. You get his third year in Chicago, he gets Cole Kmet. They give him some people on there. His running drops. Cole Kmet is catching the ball like crazy, right? So the tight end position, Mason Taylor, I could see that being his safety net. But we get Arian Smith, a speedster that could potentially open it up for Garrett Wilson. It could open it up for Corley, which we have no idea what Corley could completely be.
Corley was. I'm just sorry. Corley is not going to amount to anything. He was a running back in college, and then he transferred or transitioned to wide receiver. This dude cannot run routes. That's why they call him the Yak King, because he could catch shit like within 5 yards and then run with it because he was a running back. You know what I mean? Like, but I agree with you.
So he may not even make the team. He may not even make it cut.
I mean, like I'm going to believe, but what's actually encouraging is so many people that are not Jets fans are talking up the Jets. Like I live in, just like you, bro. I live in Virginia. I have a lot of patients that come into my office, and the first thing they see is a Jets. My wife's coworker, who's a welder, who was a female, welded a Jets logo, right?
Nice.
A fucking sick Jets logo. It's like 20 pounds right on my desk. So when I do an eye exam, I'm like, look at the Jets logo, right? And they always mention like, oh, I'm sorry, you're a Jets fan and this and that. So we always talk about football because they're like the age between 20 and 40. But a lot of guys are smart, and they're like, they really believe in Justin Fields, and it's like they almost believe in Justin Fields more than we do. You know what I mean? So like listening to other people talk and like he didn't get a chance and this and that, it's almost making me buy into it. But I don't want to get my heart broken again. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't know. It's like how much I can't get kicked when I'm down so many times. You know what I mean?
Just remember one thing. There's 31 teams in the league that see us on their schedule, and their fan base goes, that's a win. That's a win. That's a win.
Not only the fan base, but I looked at someone posed. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was you saying that we were a 6-point underdog. I looked at Vegas's stat line for every game this season. We're underdogs in every single game. I mean, when you're a home team,
Carolina at home, no. Carolina at home, we can't.
100. Dude, look. Go
really?
ahead and look at it. Oh yeah, it's like they're 1-point favorites, bro.
You know what?
And you get automatically you get 3 points for being the home team.
Yeah.
How the disrespect is real, and I want to believe, but it's like.
But that's perfect, right? Because this team is moving right now in silence, and they're not out here being brash. They're not out here doing that. You know, you got Aaron Glenn that's constantly saying they're going to compete, and everything. Thunder, appreciate you, brother, calling in and all that because we got to get ready to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But we got to get up soon because we literally live like super close to each other. So, and we will, man. So, appreciate you, man.
Got you, brother.
Thanks on the lips. Thanks for calling in.
Gator, with you being here, we are going to give a little bit of a tease for next week, right?
Yeah.
First off, Gator, thank you so much for coming on because this was awesome. I really, truly hope that everybody that was watching this can kind of get an understanding of Gator, the Jets fan, right? Of what makes Gator a Jet fan. So, like, I really hope that this has showcased that and everybody's able to see what, because I've been there in the mornings when you've called into the Boy Green show, and I'm like, shit, you know what? He's completely right. Like, he's making sense on what he's talking about right now. You know, and I was there when you showed the poop as well. So I remember that, which was awesome.
Sorry about
that. Nah, I mean, dude, you know, it's dog poop, right? So, but we appreciate you coming on, man. Everybody, we did put the link in the description to a lot of Gator stuff that he does. Please, please, please go over there, hit a follow, hit a sub, do what you got to do, man. Gator is in the community as well, and he does so much stuff for everybody. He truly, really does, and it's awesome. And we appreciate you, Gator. So,
and if you're watching this after the fact, after the live, first like our channel,
yeah, please,
and subscribe to our channel, and then go to Gator's channel, and go and like his and subscribe to his. Get Gator to 500 because we want that live show. We want to see this man live and in person. Thank you so much for being a realistic person. Thank you for not getting everyone's hopes up in the clouds. And just being a realistic, let's see what happens type of a guy.
And thank you both for having me on. I really appreciate this. This is it's an honor to, to be a single guest on your show. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for thinking of me.
We love you, man. You do so much. You do so much for this community. So it's nice to pay tribute every once in a while.
Well, Gator, since you're here, we're gonna tease it next week. Right, you know what, Snowball, you do it.
So I did a little bit of an investigation, and we have a former Jet player who is going to be on the show. He has played with Aaron Glenn. He has been coached by Bill Parcells. His name, you can Google him because his name is Lamont Burns, and Lamont Burns will be on our show. He was, again, a teammate of Aaron Glenn and coached in the Bill Parcells regime. So he'll be joining us next week. And yes, he will be sharing his experience playing alongside Aaron Glenn and being coached by Bill Parcells. So yes.
Don't let Jay Quest come on. Okay.
No, Jay Quest will not be rubbing anything on air. No.
And then with that said, this has been Jets
World Wide. Take care. We're out. See ya. Thanks, Gator.
Later.
Yeah. We started off as Titans, and now we're the Jets. The start of every season always starts with the sweats. Vinny T, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, what's the deal? Don't even try to tell me that the curse ain't real. We're coming for you, run, nothing high. Snowballing Johnny Boy, it's Jets worldwide. Why? Yeah, like and subscribe. But fumble, fail, Mary, choking Fitzpatrick. The end of every season is always tragic. Doug Bryant missed, everybody got pissed. Super Bowl seasons ended with just one twist. 15 years without the playoffs. Is Aaron Glenn legit? We're the friggin' New York Jets and we're built for the shit. We're coming for your roof and hide. Snowballing Johnny Boy is Jets worldwide. Like and subscribe.